Hey everybody, here with Darryl today, a good friend and a client of Rally. And one of the things about Darryl that I love so much is he's just a down-to-earth guy. Darryl and I have had, I don't know, Darryl, how many times have we gotten together for coffee and when you're in town, do you think?
At least a half a dozen times, something like
Probably
that.
so, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
So Darryl was instrumental in helping us early on. One of our first, I think you were in the top, 10, first 10 clients we had,
I
Darryl.
think so.
So I
You
guess it's
made
a
it
test.
sound like you were thousands of clients, but it was great.
Yeah, no, because I had big ambitions, but now we're getting there. But
Yeah.
anyway, but with you, Darryl, it's been great to just down to earth guy, getting to know you and your vision and what you're working on. So the purpose of today, Darryl, is just to get to know you, hear your story. We'll do a deep dive a bit into some of the technology that you're using with Rally, but really it's less about that and more about what you're learning and how how what you want to share with our community.
Yeah. Well,
So yeah,
awesome.
so get started. Yeah, you lead discussion. Tell us a little bit about your story and how you came to be.
Well, I'm going to try to keep it short. I was a pastor for 25 years, so that's tough for
A
us.
tough ask. That's right.
When we say we're closing, that's a lie.
That's right. Three
We're
closes.
closing that thought to open another one. Well, of course, my name's Darryl Carnley. I was born and raised in Alaska. My parents were missionaries. I'm a fourth generation missions kid. Dad went to Alaska back in the 50s, and my earlier family got there in the early 1900s as gold miners. So a long time in Alaska. As I was growing up, I swore two things. I said I would never pastor and I would never live, back in Alaska once I escaped. Well, bottom line is I pastored for 25 years, 20 in Alaska, lived there for 43, and but finally came to what we would call the lower 48s, which is funny.
Okay.
And pastored a couple of years in Idaho, and then ended up in Phoenix. And in the midst of all of that, being a missions kid and being in close to over 100 countries in my lifetime, I really was looking for a widget to go into countries and make a difference. And we come up with a shoe idea that really is not new. I mean, shoes have been around a long time, but we created the My 360 Project, which is a humanitarian shoe organization. And so it really is my why at this moment is to come in and put healthy fitting shoes on children. The uniqueness of our product is we teach people how to build it and create sustainable jobs. So I'm a missions kid. So that's what I do.
So my 360 project, and look, you gave me one of these shoes way back when, and I keep it in my office as a constant reminder of the work that you're doing. But why shoes?
Well, that's a great question. So many people, as being a Christian, people, well, you're not a primary mission. Primary mission is sharing the gospel or something like that. But that's fine. Why shoes for me is I was given this fact some years ago by another shoe organization, and they said that there was 300 million kids in the world who did not have a pair of shoes. And
Wow.
there's another 1.2 billion kids who have inadequate shoes. And so I of course, growing up in Alaska, shoes are a must. I mean,
Yeah,
you can't
that's a
go
big
out
deal.
in 60 below without shoes or boots or mucklucks or something. But it was so interesting when I was given those facts. It just stirred me to the point of I was emotional. I literally, when it was brought to me, I just knew it was like this aha moment. It was like Oprah talking about that aha moment.
Yeah.
It was almost like I heard this, whoa, like
Yeah.
angels. And it was like, this is what you're to do. And so, long story short, I was in New York City and at a meeting with the Palau organization. We were doing this big festival at Central Park. And I told my wife, I said, I'm going to go down in the lobby of the hotel this morning and I'm going to meet someone from Nike. And she said, well, Nike's on the West Coast, And man, I went down that morning and I met someone from Nike. And uniquely enough, his name is Wilson Smith. Anyone can Google him and see who he is. Wonderful Nike person, been there many years, helped me meet a guy named Mike Freeton. And from there, Mike Freeton and Tom Barron helped me design a shoe that we actually have done a lot of work on. You actually have the shoe put together, but the shoe actually comes flat.
Yeah.
And I went to Mike and said, Mike, 300 million kids need shoes. we want to put people to work building shoes. We want to create a non-toxic charity situation where we're sourcing in country. It just started coming together. Now it's been a heck of a process. That was in 2015, and we started R&D in January 16 and did our first project in Uganda in January 17, I think it was.
Yeah.
And from there, we put about 8,000 pairs on kids in the world. 13 countries have a little build center here in Phoenix and a larger one in Vicente Guerrero with people. We wanted to work with people that have been marginalized, those have been rescued out of human trafficking, things such as that. So we work with different ministries, and it's happening. I think we have 9 artisans working for us, and
wow, that's
out
amazing.
Shoes. It's crazy.
And you call it a humanitarian, organization, so shoe organization, but really it's also sustainable. You use that word too, yeah? Why it's sustainable. So walk me through that. Like, what makes it sustainable in that sense?
Well, the uniqueness of the shoe is the shoe gets sponsored for $35, and you have a lot of people say, well, why don't we just buy a $2 pair of shoes made, in China? There's a lot of organizations do that, and hats off to them. I love it. I again, whatever people can do to bring us to zero effect of every kid having shoes, do it. But we decided to set the price at $35. And in the 35, it's based in the 17 to build the shoe, 8 to market it, 10 to deliver. So the shoe price, which is an average shoe price of a child's shoe in America, is about $35.
Okay.
And it gives us money inside of there to develop the same sustainability. But the 35 is people that are sponsoring companies. We're a nonprofit, so we have Rotary behind us, we have churches, we have corporations. We just actually got a small partnership with Safeco Insurance, and people they'll match, what employees put in. Yamana Hospital actually just came on board where people can match. But it's where people want to get involved with something. And so, for instance, World Vision or Compassion, people sponsor children, $39 a month. Here, people can sponsor shoes, $35 a month, and 12 children a year, of course, get a pair of shoes. But amazing. In that, it employs people. So people sponsoring the shoe then employs people to build it. It gives us money to market it. But then the uniqueness of this project is the $10. If they're a shoe hero, that goes into a travel account that helps us deliver the shoe around the world, or it's a fundraiser for someone to go on a humanitarian trip. Yeah. As a pastor, I want kids. If I started mission trips when I was 7, if young people can go on a mission trip and serve, whatever they want to call it, and they come into a situation, shifts their homeostasis, changes everything in their life. And so it has a lot of components, but the sustainability is people sponsoring it and us going into country, sourcing, like Gloria, she helps source in Tijuana. We put money in the economy. We're not over there, just giving something away. We're actually developing it where they're learning how to manage a business. People can get micro loans, get their machine. We contract with them. It really is fun to watch 9 artisans. And we have 2 that are already beginning to build houses that had nothing. One's in her 60s, has never owned anything in her life. She's working for us. She's bought her first piece of property. We're helping her build a house. And
Darryl, what I've loved, even when we did our strategy session together, where we got on the whiteboard and we drew and we talked about the different levels of giving and the way to create sustainable, I think in business, which a lot of organizations really, the bigger ones get it. That's what, that's obviously why they get a little bigger, but so much of the time we have a scarcity mindset and we don't really think, like we just think about the next donation to get the next thing done. But what you've done, even the shoe itself, it grows and expands and has some life built into it, and it's more ruggedized than what an American shoe, because you're not on American soil, right? You're in different soil down in Mexico or even in Africa and these different countries you're in. So I think understanding the terrain and how to build a shoe that grows with a child and how to create something that's more sustainable, not just at the foot level, but really on a global scale. That's incredible.
Well, it's an easy build shoe. The shoe can be, it's a lot of it's canvas. We have canvas, we have denim, different
leather. I saw a leather one.
It can be repaired. Yeah. In fact, you'll go to places and they'll flatten it and they'll scrub it and hang it on their, I've seen it hanging from their, outside their little, where they have their laundry. But it's not the prettiest of shoes, but it's a very functional, because I actually have one here. This is called our Art Mock. This is another program we're doing where we're American, or us here, the children or whatever, they design the shoe and make a wearable art. But the shoe actually grows out the toe. It'll expand out the rear, and then it also is expandable in and out from like a moccasin. And we call it the 360 mock because it's built on a moccasin thought.
Yeah.
But it can go a few sizes. We don't declare how many sizes because, man, as many countries as we've been in 13, so many different types of feet. But it'll actually go in or out, and it's kind of cool because you can be like, we're in Nicaragua, we have 4 sizes, and we are able to put shoes on about 6 or 8 styles of feet because it fits.
That's amazing, Darryl. I'm always impressed. Now, just with your thinking, your strategy, really the sustainable growth that you've done. Now, as you think about, we've talked a little bit about the future and kind of your plans there. I want to circle back to that. But as you think about current day, where you are today, $35 a shoe seems reasonable, right? There's a lot of Americans, a lot of people that would, I think, for $35 kind of see and get the impact. But what kind of challenges are you facing as an organization when it comes to either getting the word out or getting people to mobilize or act on your vision?
Well, I think what happens is when let's say we're having children sponsored for an orphanage, they can wrap their brain around that, and not eating, and because so many organizations drill wells, you got to have them. You give food, medicine. Shoes it's a new thought. People haven't really wrapped their brain around the need of shoes. 11 million kids die before their 5th birthday, and a lot of those children die because of footborne illnesses that you don't think of. If they had just a simple shoe, even a simple flip-flop, it would be different for them. But so our challenge is everything a story. So we've been developing story. We've been traveling all over. We were in Pakistan last February, and to look at the need of shoes there was mind-blowing. Of course, I designed the shoe for Africa, but as people begin to see the need, deeper need. Mexico is more of where there's inadequate shoes. I mean, we have kids who don't have them and we give them, but this is really more of an opportunity. We wash the child's feet, put shoes on. And as people begin to see it and go on trips, they realize, wow, James, there is a need. Darryl, I get it. And so they come back, and then they become sponsors or a shoe hero. And so just, it's easy to say we need water because we know what that's like. It's easy to say we need food, and health. But when we start talking shoes, most Americans have about 20, 30 pairs of shoes. They don't even think there's a shortage.
Yeah. So it's really it's really crossing the cultural divide and helping people, if you would, envision and understand, like to see it. Like they have to see it. Yeah. Would you agree?
Well, and exactly, because shoes, the importance of having shoes in your life is amazing. Just there's a quality of life. There's this hope. In fact, the prodigal son that's in the Bible, when he came home, he had lost his shoes. And they feel that because he was in the mud. And what happens when you're in the mud? It says he came to his senses and he's in the mud. When you step in mud, your shoes come off. So we suspect that he came home and got shoes. Well, the father would have washed his feet. When he had placed new shoes on his feet, he brought sonship back to him and hope. Yeah. So when we put shoes on feet, it encapsulates something in their minds. I always wanted, we were in Haiti, James, a few years ago when we first were doing this, started it. And we're washing these little Haitian kids' feet, never had shoes, nothing. And we're washing their feet, putting these socks and the shoes on them. And you wonder that night, what were they thinking? What just happened? But we washed their feet. And it's so significant. Jesus did it.
Yeah.
And it's a powerful expression of safety. It's a wonderful, if you're going to, meet a child and give them something wonderful, when you wash their feet, we call it a holy pedicure. Yeah. And it's funny how they light up. They're like, what's going on? Yeah. And it's healthy, it's safe. And then you begin to see the connection of having a shoe. And I just had someone on my program not long ago from Africa, and they were telling me about their first pair of shoes ever in their life and how they just felt different. They're walking with shoes for the first time. They're like 13 years old, and they're just feeling like life is possible. So we hope shoes bring hope.
Yeah.
And that's our point, is to bring hope to children.
And Darryl, I've experienced that firsthand when I went, as I've traveled and done, mission trips myself, and we, stayed in Africa. When we arrived late one night, the executive director, the home that we were staying in, the orphanage, was real kind to have a little apartment built out for us. She goes, well, this is, where our guests stay. And so we stayed there the first night, but it felt removed from the kids. We weren't able to see them. The next day after playing with them, I decided, they don't need a bunch of, people from America coming in and then sleeping on cots when most of them on the floor. The environment was not as good for them as it was for us. And they were just trying to make it comfortable for us. And I appreciate that. So I asked the director, I said, would it be okay if we actually stayed on the floor with the kids, or in the hall with the kids? They call it the hall. And the next day, they were a lot more approachable. It was like the level of humility that we weren't just there, out of reach. We were there to live their life and be with them and meet them in the moment. We really meet them where they are in the dust, right?
Yeah. And that's what, when you wash their feet, you're humbling
humility.
yourself.
Yeah.
And they get that, and immediately it opens this connection with them. And I find it so fun when I feel someone tugging on my finger or something, and it's one of those little children. They're saying Donata, they're saying thank you or gracias or whatever country you're in.
I love it. And the humility is a big part of approaching. And I think that is something that as an organization you get because you've lived it. And those of us that have been on trips, we understand that. I mean, I will not sleep on a mattress if there's people that are not sleeping on a mattress. I just can't do it. But people need to experience that, and it's very experiential. What kind of, we talk about video and different mediums to get that. I know you're big in social and video, so walk me through some of the video stuff that you've done to help get that story across in a very real and visual way, if they're not able to go with you on the trip itself.
It's funny you say that, because now that we speak out, like this next weekend, I'll be speaking at a church. And one of the things, and I just want to put a plug in for Rally. I know you're interviewing me, but one of the things that really helps us is when I'm there, like next week, I'll say, hey, if you want to know more about our Art Mock project, just text Art Mock to 24365. Well, when they do that, they can click on and they can watch the video about the Art Mock.
It's all that video.
It really ties people in, and we love the text to give for us, especially in front of a crowd. You can throw it out there, and you can see people out there texting on their phone.
Nice.
But the video audio, we actually have. My son is really good at it. We've really been, putting together great stories, good songs with the stories. Like we took the band Unspoken down with us a couple of years ago, and they gave us the rights to a few of their songs. So some of the videos have their songs. They went in as artists, and they loved it. And just testimony, the Bible says you overcome by the blood of the Lamb, the word of our testimony, and not to make this a religious program, but just it's factual. Testimony's everything. So telling our story, we're right now developing some really cool stories from the artisan's perspective. Now, we couldn't have done that a few years ago because they were new to us. Well, now some of them have been with us 2 to 3 years. So they can now come and say, hey, this is how, if you become a shoe hero, this is how it's affected my life. Your $35 a month has done this for us, given us a better life. So that's what we're doing right now. And that's why we really enjoy having text to give, because it's such a simplistic way for us to say, hey, text shoes to 24365,
And that's exactly right. It's really delivering. It's text to give, where they could click and make a donation, of course, but it's really about delivering video, moving them into Facebook, moving them into different mediums or networks where they can actually see and feel and experience, the story and have opportunity to enter into it.
Well, then they opt into our system, like Giving Tuesday last year. We did a reverse text out to everybody, and the reverse text hit, and within 2 minutes, someone had donated $1,000. It was, and I'm not trying to plug it. I'm just telling you, it was just like, whoa, hey, that was a nice size gift. But it really is. It's telling story, and you said it, and it takes time. You can't do something like this. And you've developed new companies, and it's great to say, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is what we want to do. And, even when you and I met a few years ago, I was still telling you what we wanted to do. Well, we're doing it. So that's the fun part, come and see, get involved. Even people watching this, click on our website, take a look at what we're doing, go under trips and go with us sometime, And
and we call it client success interviews, Darryl, and I've done it with you. But my favorite part of my job is to engage with folks and say, okay, what are we doing right? What did you first find the value? And then what are we doing? Not necessarily, what can we do better? Like, where can we improve? What do you need next? What's the challenges? And, because we're technology people. We can build anything. Like, we want to build the right thing, but it has to impact lives. So
exactly.
Absolutely. Good.
Well, we're coming to our 20 minutes, so we probably.
I know, and I'm impressed that you and I have done it. This is actually pretty impressive that you've kept it to 20 minutes.
It's
So
wonderful.
Good job. Darryl, anything that you want to close us out on and think through, or like, how does someone get involved with you? I've got my information up, of course, with my short code to get access to my V card.
Oh,
but how does someone? Yeah. Oh, there it is on your shirt. So how does someone find you? My project 360.org, or my360.org.
My360project.org. Go to the website, take a look at us on Facebook, and like us on Facebook is great. That's really fun.
Yeah.
And sign up to get. You can go on our website. You can sign up to be in our mailing list. But more than anything, take a step of faith with us and become a shoe hero. You can go right on. It's real easy to click monthly and start sponsoring shoes. And as you become that, then all of a sudden you'll start getting pictures back of where your shoes are going.
Yeah.
And, through this crazy time of COVID, we've still been able to build shoes, get them around to different places. And we're still working because the need doesn't go away. And so I would just encourage people to, take a look at us, go to the website, and give us some response. Tell us what you think, good, bad, or ugly, because we want to get better, but there's such a need, and our need is filled by people. And it's just sponsor one pair of shoes. I don't need you to sponsor 1,000. If you want to, I'm not going to stop you, but just one pair of shoes a month changes a child's life. 12 children you get to change in a year.
That's amazing. Well, our family is all about it. We're grateful for your work. And of course, you can text shoes to 24365 as well and get a quick link to your website. So do that. And then you're in the Text Gen community we just launched on LinkedIn and in Facebook. So if anybody's in that group, they can reach out to you directly. And what I would encourage is for other group members to think about how ArtMock or, the work that you're doing might impact them. Because I know you and I talked about youth groups and different organizations, Lions Club, different organizations that gather members around projects. This would be a great project for them to do together, especially if they have kids and teenagers or families stuck at home during COVID. So lots of ways to get involved with you. And I'd love for people to reach out to you directly in the group and make your acquaintance as well, Darryl. You got a lot to offer to folks. Thanks, my friend. Like I said, like you said, and I text shoes 24365, bam, there it is. Yeah, love it. All right. Well, anything else? Any closing thoughts, or is this it? Is this our second or third close? Or there's a lot more to say, but I'm not going to say it. Okay. Well, I was going to give you like 3 closes, but we'll leave it at this. All right, brother. Great to see you again. Thanks for your time. Thanks, James, for your time and what you do. All right, you bet. Bye-bye.